paintings actually followed a sophisticated mathematical structure that rivals modern architectural design.
That's quite a claim. What makes you think there could be such complex organization in prehistoric art?
Well, it all comes down to the groundbreaking work of Leroi-Gourhan in the mid-20th century. He was the first researcher to apply statistical analysis to cave paintings, and what he found was mind-blowing. These weren't random drawings, but carefully planned compositions with recurring patterns and symbolic meanings.
So how exactly did he analyze these cave paintings?
You know what's fascinating? He mapped out every single image in these caves and found that certain animals consistently appeared in specific locations. Like, aurochs and bison would be paired together in central areas, while horses would appear in different zones. He interpreted this as representing a male-female duality in prehistoric symbolism.
That's really interesting, but couldn't we be projecting our modern understanding onto these ancient artworks?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the big challenges in archaeology. Let me pose this question. How would you interpret the symbolic meaning of modern street art if you were studying it 30,000 years from now?
Well, that really puts it in perspective. We might be missing so much cultural context.
Exactly. And here's what's really exciting. Modern technology is revealing details that even Leroi-Gourhan couldn't see. Using 3D scanning, researchers have discovered that some images were deliberately positioned to create animation effects in firelight, suggesting these caves were like prehistoric theaters.
So these ancient artists were basically creating multimedia installations?
Yeah, and you know what's wild? The sophisticated use of space and symbolism isn't unique to prehistoric art. Take the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. Its Atsibateria facade, built in 1075, uses many of the same principles of spatial organization to create meaning.
How do you think these two forms of artistic expression, separated by thousands of years, might be connected?
Well, here's what I think is the key insight. Both prehistoric cave artists and medieval architects understood that the placement of images could transform physical spaces into something transcendent. Let's consider this question. What elements of spatial organization do you see in modern architecture that might parallel these ancient practices? Think about that for a moment.
That's such an interesting way to look at human artistic expression across time.
And you know what really blows my mind? Leroi-Gourhan's statistical approach from the 1950s basically predicted the digital analysis tools we use today. He was trying to find objective ways to understand subjective expressions, which is still a major challenge in archaeological research.
So, in a way, his work bridges the gap between ancient art and modern analytical methods?
Exactly. And as we wrap up, here's something to think about. We might be creating our own symbolic patterns without even realizing it. Just like those prehistoric artists, we're constantly organizing our world in ways that future archaeologists might find fascinating. Three of Earth's most extraordinary innovations are sitting right under our noses, from the wheat in your morning toast to mysterious deep-sea creatures to underwater forests that grow faster than bamboo. But the real stories behind them will completely change how you see our world.
Well, now you've got my attention. What exactly are we diving into here?
Let's start with bread wheat Triticum aestivum. You know, this single plant species literally transformed human civilization. And here's something wild. Just 1 acre of wheat can produce enough bread to feed a family of 4 for nearly 10 years.
That's actually mind-blowing when you think about it. How did we develop something so efficient?
Well, it's taken thousands of years of careful selection. Our ancestors gradually transformed wild grasses into this incredibly versatile grain. And get this, modern wheat varieties can produce up to 5 times more grain per acre than ancient varieties.
So what you're saying is that we've essentially been bioengineering our food supply for millennia?
Exactly right. And speaking of engineering, let me tell you about the leatherback sea turtle. These incredible creatures have completely reimagined what a turtle shell can be. Instead of the typical hard shell, they've developed this unique leather-like carapace with thousands of tiny bone plates.
Oh, that's fascinating. How deep can these turtles actually dive with that specialized shell?
You're going to love this. Leatherbacks can dive up to 4,000 feet deep. That's nearly 3/4 of a mile underwater. And those 7 ridges running along their shell, they're crucial for reducing drag during deep dives.
Well, that explains why they've survived for so long. They're basically the submarines of the turtle world.
And speaking of underwater marvels, let me tell you about Tasmania's giant kelp forests. These underwater giants can grow up to 2 feet per day under ideal conditions. That's like watching a forest grow and fast forward.
That growth rate is incredible. What kind of impact does this have on marine life?
So picture this, these kelp forests create what scientists call vertical zonation. Different species occupy different levels of the forest, from the seafloor to the surface. It's like an underwater apartment complex that can support hundreds of different species.
You know, looking at these 3 examples together, it's striking how each represents a different kind of natural innovation.
That's exactly what fascinates me about them. Wheat shows us how humans and nature can co-evolve, leatherbacks demonstrate evolution's creative problem-solving, and kelp forests reveal how a single species can create entire ecosystems.
And to think these are just 3 examples out of countless others we probably haven't even discovered yet.
Well, here's something to consider. Scientists estimate we've only identified about 20% of Earth's species. Imagine what other incredible adaptations are still out there, waiting to be discovered.